We're going to do it again today with a brand new pastor, one of my favorite guys, John Anderson from Lutheran Church of Hope, Des Moines. Why are you a Christian? And how do you spread the gospel to somebody who doesn't know the gospel?
Let's get it started. Ha! Let's get it started in here. Let's get it started. Ha! Let's get it started in here. Yeah.
Let's get it started in here.
Welcome to The View from a Pew, a conversation among Christians who are out to grow their faith by asking the simple questions, the tough questions, and the stuff you really wish your pastor would talk about. Come on now, let's reason together. It's your voice we want to hear. The phone lines are open, so join the conversation. Call 855-244-0077. That's 855-244-0077. Now, here's your host, J. Michael McCoy.
Okay, 4 minutes after 3 o'clock on this grand day of the 3rd of October in the Lord's year 2012. I'm J. Michael McCoy, and this is the Wednesday edition of The View from a Pew. And I want to thank you right up front for listening. I say this all the time. This ministry humbles me. I can tell you that the type of person that I was before Jesus grabbed a hold of me and the hounds of heaven took a nip out of my backside, I thought, why wouldn't somebody listen to one of my shows? And I would roll off all the arrogant reasons why I was so good and my shows were so good. I don't have that in me anymore. I'm just very, very thankful and appreciative that you listen to these shows. And I know this show isn't for everybody. If I'm a big R.C. Sproul guy. I'm up early in the morning, and I listen to him from 6 to 6:30 almost every morning. I'd tell you every morning, but I'm lying if I say every and always and never, So I know the type of programming that is on this radio station most of the time, and this is not normal. The View from a Pew is me and Bob and Father Tattoo, very unexpert people when it comes to, apologetics and theology. We're just learning and growing like you. You tune into this station to be taught. And yes, I think I bring in exceptional guests who get to teach us. But remember, the guy, the voice in the front of the commercial says what this is all about. We ask the questions we think you'd like to ask your preacher, your teacher, your theological mentor. And you always have that opportunity through our phone lines, 1-855-244-0077, and through the chat at theviewfromapew.com. Bob Monster at the Cat in the Hat watches the chat. He's your voice, so you tell him what you want to ask, and he'll do that. But always, I just appreciate you being here. John Anderson, the pastor from Lutheran Church of Hope, downtown branch, will be with us today. And we are continuing our conversation, which I find, I hope you find fascinating. I have truly been engaged in this kind of double-pointed conversation since we started talking about this last Friday. Last Friday, if you were listening, it was just Bob and myself and Dan, Father Tattoo, and we started asking these two questions. How do you present the gospel? And I'd like to add in a minute or less, to someone who doesn't know the gospel. What if you could write it on the back of a business card, what would you write? That's all the room you got, just there. And it has to be readable by guys like me who have to wear bifocals. How do you present the gospel to somebody who doesn't know the gospel? And then the other question, which kind of goes along with this, is why are you a Christian? Why are you a Christian? We discussed this in my men's group this morning. And I got to tell you, Bob, I get the same answers most of the time. Well, when I was a kid, I went to the Catholic Church, or I went to the Lutheran Church, or I went to the Episcopal, and I was an altar boy, or I sang in the choir, and my mom and dad went to church every Sunday, and so that kind of made me a Christian. And you know what I'm doing. Gotcha. And then I give my answer, which isn't my answer. It's what I've learned from smart people. And they go, oh, yeah. It's kind of like your buddy Ron Davis's answer. When did you get saved? I love his answer. When Jesus died on the cross. But most people say, well, you know, it was a Wednesday night back in 1972, and I'd been drinking all night, and finally just gave my life to the Lord. And ever since then, I've been saved.
Now, God does seem to come to people when they're inebriated on something. That's not overly uncommon. I know a lot of people that have, you know, my cousin, when he became inspired with Christ, at least for the very first time, he was high on crank.
You know why?
Probably because they're thinking too much.
Well, and their inhibitions are down.
I agree.
Most drugs, unless you're on speed or, you know, cocaine, your inhibitions are down. And I think that Satan uses our inhibitions to build us up.
Sure.
Keep us away from God.
I think it puts you in a compromised state. I mean, that was when I used to play around with these things. One of the things that always got at me is we ended up in conversations about
play around with drugs.
Yeah, I was trying not to say that on the radio,
okay.
but that's all right.
Sorry.
Yes, when I used to experiment with drugs, one of the reasons that I quit is because people kept getting in conversations about religion with me and would say stupid things like, "Well, if God didn't want us to smoke it, He wouldn't grow it here." And I thought, God didn't put it in our mouth and light it on fire.
Yeah.
So that's a stupid argument. And so we had a lot of these, and we weren't just messing around with light stuff either. So, but they kept getting deeper and deeper, and these people thought they were philosophers or something about God, and I actually knew the truth because I grew up in church, and he didn't.
Thought you were going to say you were growing it yourself.
No.
Well, he did it just for the hemp.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, right.
I really liked cool sandals.
Okay. All right. Well, Pastor John from Lutheran Church of Hope, the Des Moines branch, is our guest today. John, welcome.
Good to see you.
Thank you for
Thanks
being
for having
here.
me.
You can kind of hear as we've been talking here.
Yep.
Last Friday, we didn't have Maddie Smith. And what happens when it's just Father Tattoo and Bob and I, we get into really deep theological conversation. We don't just unpack, we unbind. We don't unpack the socks, we unthread them. And the conversation was started as, okay, 60 seconds.
Yep.
How do you tell the gospel to somebody who doesn't know the gospel? And we're not talking an atheist. We're not talking about somebody who's made the decision to be, what did he call me yesterday? Irritable? No. Antagonist, yeah.
Sure. They're open to it.
Yeah,
at least.
I don't know what it is. Tell me what it is. And so that's one of the questions. And then the other question is, why are you a Christian? And as a pastor, I specifically like to hear those answers because you're going to be more tuned into probably not the truth, but the core of it.
Right.
I mean, I sat in men's group this morning, and I asked that to 3 other guys, and I got the same answer. Well, I was raised in it. And
so he's not in tune to the truth? Is that what you're saying?
No.
Oh, that's what I heard.
No, he's in tune to the core like I am, in tune to the core of it.
Okay. I just wanted to clarify that. I heard it the wrong
way. Are you
way.
mocking me?
No.
Are you mocking me, Barack Obama?
No, I'm just trying to clear my ears.
Oh, okay.
No, they're great questions. Really good questions.
So how would you share the gospel with somebody who doesn't know the gospel? I mean, you must do this.
Yes, absolutely.
Weekly, daily.
So I'm not trying to cop out. What I'm saying is
sounds like a cop out.
He's already copped out.
If I have to give a precursor,
it's copped out.
Here goes the pastor. He doesn't know the answer. But here's the thing: in my entire life as an individual Christian and also doing ministry for a profession or a job, I've never been in a situation where I have flat out just looked at someone and just laid it out without that conversation being in the context of something bigger going on. Meaning it's in the context of they're in crisis, they're in transition, they have a question, they're going through something, they're coming seeking my advice. It's marriage counseling, it's a funeral, it's the opportunities where I've had to actually share the gospel have been in those situations. And so my answer is wherever their story connects with God's story. And I'm not trying to be cheesy with that.
I like that.
But it usually ends up being something that really hits home for them. So if you're looking for me to lay out the Romans road, I can do that in all these verses in Romans that people have used back, to lay out the gospel. I can do that, but I've never done that. It's not real life. Real life is more messy than that.
So I don't want to put words in your mouth, but what I hear you saying is that you watch God meet them where they're at
Yeah.
rather than drag them to where God is.
Exactly. My way of sharing the gospel may not be the way that God wants them to hear it. So in an evangelism sort of setting, it's way more important that I, as the deliverer of that message, am listening to the Spirit and letting that guide me rather than just I have this pre-worked out thing.
Right.
Now, I understand the importance of your question. Scripture tells us, always be ready to share a reason for the hope that you have. And we should be ready to do that.
Yeah.
And I don't think your testimony should be longer than a minute or a minute and a half.
Mine's about 2.5 hours. I can barely write mine on the back of a billboard.
Yeah. It's kind of like a good mission statement for a church.
Yeah.
If it doesn't fit on the back of a T-shirt, it's probably too long.
I've always said if you can't write a description for your business or whatever your passion is on the back of a business card so somebody without glasses,
right,
not needing glasses, can read,
yeah,
then you're too yappy.
So why would it be any different with our faith?
Yeah, well, good point. Now, with that said, do we have enough time? We've got 4 minutes. You do the best I've ever heard, and because you've kind of got a little process that you go through that takes a couple minutes. Go through that.
Which one?
Well, the one where you start about, do you believe in a creator? And so if you believe it.
You want my rationale for why I believe in God?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I start with, I can't come up with a solution to the origin of matter. Nothing plus nothing always equals nothing. It's a mathematical equation. It's perfect mathematics. 0 plus 0 always equals 0. So we have this problem that there was something. I would interject that something's God, because if something created another thing to create more things, then we need some kind of ability, some cognizance there. And so for me, nothing plus nothing always equals nothing. So we have God. If we insert God into the story, then we can explain a lot more. So logically, to me, it's an easier leap. It's Occam's razor. It's easier to believe God created it than some kind of mathematical impossibility. So I go through that. I look through the Bible story, and I see a lot of logical things there. We see back in the days of Israel, God protecting His people through things they couldn't have possibly known, like pork being rancid real fast and dangerous to eat, and so He forbids it. There a lot of the laws there have some similarities. I also see a God that I would be, and I mean, when you look at all these gods that everybody else has set up, all their nature is self-serving. If you're a Mormon, you're hoping to die and make it to the next level and become a god yourself. They call that theism. If you're a Muslim, you hope to die and get a bunch of virgins. I don't know what they call that other than crazy. If you're a Christian, you die and you go worship God. God doesn't change. You don't become God. You become God's sons. And that makes a lot more sense to me. I wouldn't set it up so people come and become me and become greater than me. That would be an endless regress. You'd always, who'd be the next God and who'd be bigger than the first God. And it would be a mess. This is all very tidy. It's a God that my nature understands. I would be jealous of my people. We see that in the Old and New Testament. I would love my people. We see that in the story of Jesus Christ, who loved us so much that He died on a cross. And he rose again from the dead, defeating both death and sin and granting salvation. I understand federal headship of Adam and Jesus, because no other religion can atone for my sins, and it wouldn't make sense any other way than under the model of federal headship. We have Adam that fell, and we have Jesus that fixed these things. And so I come to when you look at the world's religions, I come to these conclusions. There is a God. It would make sense that since there's a God, that He's also alive, because we still see miracles and weird stuff today that we can't explain. So it makes sense that He's still active, and that this God would reveal Himself in the time that He's had throughout creation. And so I think that you have to pick one of the major gods, if you will, and the one of the Bible is the only God I recognize.
That's Jesus.
That's Jesus. Yes, sir.
Isn't that
good? Yeah, I've got some thoughts on that when we come back.
All right, when we come, I don't have to say anything. He just told you what's going to happen when we come back. John Anderson, pastor, Lutheran Church of Hope, City Branch. We'll be back live on KTIA Iowa, powered by WebcastOneLive.com.
I'm just saying. 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 Ching ching. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
Feeling alone? God knows and He understands. Chat now with someone who cares at groundwire.net.
Well, hi, I'm Rob Spearman. I'm a broker owner of RE/MAX Real Estate Concepts in Des Moines, Iowa. Give us a call if you're looking at buying or selling a home, or if you're having trouble on your mortgage payments or looking to purchase foreclosures. We have the agents to help you, experienced, outstanding agents. Our office number is 515-276-2872. Or if you'd like to look at homes, go to our website, homeconnectusa.com.
Hi, I'm J. Michael McCoy, and about 20 years ago, I went to a used car salesman by the name of John Hewitt. He had a little shop over there on North 2nd Avenue called John's Auto Sales, and I bought a car. I found that experience to be one that I had never had before from a used car salesman. He was honest, he was dependable, he had integrity, and he did what he said he was going to do. Well, over the years, between my kids and grandkids, I purchased 7 vehicles from John's Auto Sales. And last month, I asked him to be a sponsor. And he said not only would he like to be a sponsor, but he would offer a $100 tithe for every customer that came and bought a car from him directly to the church of your choice. I can tell you about their huge selection. I can tell you about their years of experience. I can tell you about their honest integrity. But all I really need to tell you is that I bought 7 cars, and you can trust them. John's Auto Sales, 5435 2nd Avenue, Des Moines.
You need a good ride when you hit the trail. Trust the man with the cars, and he goes by the name of Big John. Big John. Big John.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Have you ever been told you're not a good enough Christian? Well, we have too. Join the conversation. Call 855-244-0077. Now here's your host, president of the Not a Good Enough Christian Club, J. Michael McCoy.
That's right, that's me, proudly, 321 on the 3rd day of October in the Lord's year 2012, unless that's for you if you're a Gentile. If you're a Jewish person, it's 5773. Just want you to know that, and we want to take care of all the pertinent, oh boy, my Jewish friends would hate it if I say this, but all the pertinent Christian religions. They wouldn't like that. I don't mean to be offensive.
You know what bothered me about that, though?
What?
Is those guys told us the year and then said they don't really believe that.
I know.
And that was disappointing.
That was funny.
Wow. I would actually rather them believe that.
It was a rabbi. This is going to sound like a setup to a joke, but
Sounds
it was
like
a rabbi and the head of the Jewish Federation, and neither one of them said they believe in that. Because I said, so you believe that in 5773, God made the earth, and then shortly after that, he brought in Adam and Eve, and they said, no, we know the earth's older than that. I'd be like you saying, so you think Jesus died on the cross? No, I don't really think so. I think they made it up. But it's a good thing to run with.
But it's a good moral.
Yeah.
I mean, it's got a good moral value.
Good moral.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
so you went through the, would you say that's how you'd share the gospel with somebody, or is that how you would convince them or tell them that why you believe in God?
That is why I would believe in God. Now, here's the thing with that is I'm not going to convince somebody into the faith. The power in the gospel message lies in the gospel message that we're sinners saved by a gracious God through our Lord Jesus Christ, who died on the cross and resurrected from the dead and sits in judgment. And this is awesome because we've been forgiven sins. That's where the power lies.
Now, John, if somebody asked you, then they're not being, what's that word again?
Antagonistic?
Yeah, they're not being that way. And they said, do you believe that Jesus is the only way to heaven? Do you answer yes?
Yeah, absolutely.
And if I believe that there's another way to get to heaven, and all the morals are the same, except I don't need. So I'm Jewish. I guess I just said I'm Jewish. I believe I can get back to my Father in heaven, but Jesus isn't the Messiah.
Well, like you were saying, I'm not an expert in all world religions, but I believe a good number, a strong majority of world religions, the premise is I have to do something to earn equality with God, to get to God, to be right with God, any of those things.
Right.
Christianity is the only world religion that I know that the God came to us rather than us having to earn ourselves to get.
Yeah, in fact, you can't do anything.
Right.
You can't do anything.
It defeats the purpose of the whole thing.
Yeah.
So,
and that's a really good and important point. I'm glad you brought that up.
He's a pastor. He knows that stuff.
It's like he's a pastor.
No, it's like he knows what he's doing.
It's like he maybe was trained.
You guys, you sound like that comedian. What's the guy that does the thing about Hot Pockets and bacon and...
I don't know.
We don't watch heathen comedians.
Oh, okay.
I don't know.
He's funny. Anyway, going off what you were saying, when you were talking, what came to my mind is I want to put that in the context of a bigger conversation. Whenever we talk about evangelism or sharing our faith, there's multiple ways to do that because people experience the gospel in a variety of ways. So that was a perfect route for somebody that is a thinker, like really somebody that wants to explore the facts and that may come to faith through their intellect. And we see evidence of that in Scripture. Paul arguing on Mars Hill in Athens with the scholars, and he's using their own philosophical terms and language to point them to God.
The unknown God.
Yeah, the unknown God. Yep.
Yeah, and that was one of the ways.
Right.
That was just a way. I had a friend that asked me these questions. That was the answer I gave them.
I thought it was great. Yeah.
And for him, he sits next to me in church almost every week now. So it's a happy ending.
So for some people, they really want to dig into the science and the intellect of it. For other people, it's going to just be more of a heart experience. So somebody saying, just one day I realized no matter how hard I try, I am not going to be good enough. Like I can't do this on my own willpower. It's the whole Paul thing in Romans of why do I do the things I hate and I don't do the things I want to do, that whole thing. Right. Every single one of us experiences that. I mean, that could be a great way to share your faith too. Like, can you honestly be the person you want to be?
No.
You know? Or like Pastor Mike says in church sometimes, raise your hand if you're perfect.
Yeah.
You know?
First time he did that, I put up my hand.
You were about halfway up, right?
No. I was right up there like this. And then I went, wrong room.
Well, you're the president of the...
Not a good enough Christian
Not
club.
enough Christian club.
Well, see, in a worldly sense, except for a few extra pounds, I'm perfection, baby.
Right.
But in God's eyes... But see, Bob and I disagree on this.
God's eyes, you're holy.
He doesn't like the fact that I say I'm not a good enough Christian. Right? You disagree with that.
Well, yeah, I say it based on the fact that God loves you. He believes you're good enough. But
see, I would tell you, hold on. I would tell you that he doesn't believe I'm good enough. That's why I need Jesus.
I would agree with Mac.
If I go before God without Jesus, I'm dead.
Yeah.
He opens that book and I'm dead.
Mac's only good enough with Jesus Christ.
That's right.
Not
Absolutely.
apart. And so I think it's a great thing to say you're not a good enough Christian.
Or should I say I'm not a good enough
Roman Catholic?
God guy? I don't know.
So our good friend Martin Luther, would say both. He would say 100% sinner, 100% saint.
Okay.
You're both.
Okay.
Because if there's any ounce, Lutherans, we believe there's no ounce of goodness in us by ourselves.
Right.
We're only good because of God. So we're 100% sinner, but when God looks at us, because of what Jesus Christ has done, he sees his son. Therefore, we're 100% saint.
See, he values us.
So it's both.
You know, we have worth. And here you're saying, I'm not good enough. You see what I'm saying? You see where I'm coming from?
I understand where you're coming from. And at one time I broke that apart in my mind and I thought, well, is that just a marketing thing for me? And then I fell back to, no, I really feel that way. And then I think about what you say, and I say, but I understand where Bob's coming from. But if it's a percentage, you're 49, but I'm 51. I still believe I'm not a good enough Christian.
Well, wait a second, though. I don't think that's a bad thing, though. I think first off, it's an attack on Christians that would hold themselves up as good people because you look and say, hey, look, I'm not a good enough Christian. I'm just trying to figure this out. Thank goodness for Jesus.
He's trying to not be a Pharisee.
Yeah, it's a good thing to do. It's the guy that goes up and beats his chest and says, have mercy on me, Lord. And the Pharisee goes, well, I'm glad I'm not like this guy over here. That's a good position to be in.
Right.
But if you go to tell somebody they're not a good enough Christian, when somebody told you that, what was your reaction?
Well, my first reaction, I was terribly offended, and who are they to judge me? But see, then as I grew, I realized what they meant.
How do you know what they meant? They said it to you probably in anger.
No, they didn't say it to me in anger. No. Well, anyway.
But back to our conversation, what a great way to share the gospel.
Yeah.
So I ask you, Mac, what does it mean that you're the president of the Not Enough Good Enough Christians Club? Well, then you can say, well,
without Jesus,
I'll tell you what does make me good enough.
Yeah, Jesus does.
See,
I'm a sinner saved by grace.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you were talking about the intellect side of sharing your faith. I think there's a heart part of it where sometimes we just realize I'm not good enough. A lot of what I see is crisis situations where after a funeral, somebody's asking, is there hope? And then I'm able to say, death is not the end of the story. The hopelessness that you're feeling right now is not the end of the story. And I get to share about everlasting life, and that your story doesn't have to end here. There's way more than just what died and is in that casket. It's not just about our physical bodies.
Yeah.
Or for some people, they simply experience it. I think about Pentecost. I think about Peter preaching to the 3,000, and it says they were cut to the heart. That's not, I sat down and read a C.S. Lewis book, which for some people is the ticket.
Yeah.
But for other people, they're going to hear a message at worship. They're going to go to small group. They're going to read a Bible, and they're going to be cut to the heart. And so then the question is, for some people, they're going to experience it. And it's, the cheesy slogan, you're the only Bible that some people will ever read. There's some truth to that.
Yeah.
I mean, I know the evidence of God.
That's why I say I'm not a good enough Christian.
Right. But the evidence of God is everywhere. But some people, I think, will experience Christianity before they ever get it preached at them. And sometimes that can be more effective.
Oh, yeah. That's terrible, in fact, a lot of times.
Well, yeah. But I'm saying that's how some people will come to faith.
Yeah.
They'll ask the question, Mac, why do you love your friends so much? Like, where does that come from? Are you just trying to be a nice guy? Well, let me tell you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it can happen in a lot of different ways.
I was, long story short, I'm interviewing editors because I want to hire somebody to write a book.
Yep.
It's a book I've had in me all my life, and God is finally really urging me to get it out. I don't know if he's going to take me home pretty soon or for whatever, but it was on my bucket list, and it got moved to first place. So I've been interviewing ghostwriters. And they want me to tell them their story, and it literally takes about 2.5 hours. I've got like 40 points that I go through. And the other day I said something to this person. I said, I was always uncomfortable when asked, are you a Christian? And my answer was always, well, yes, I'm a Episcopalian, or I go to the Lutheran Church of Hope. But when anybody asked me if I was a Christian, and I'm just admitting this is just raw honesty, okay? I'm sorry if you judge me for this. But up until a couple years ago, I was a little uncomfortable for me to say I'm a Christian. But I was bold, and I'm a Lutheran. I'm a Presbyterian. Because I've been an Episcopalian. I've been in the Mormon church. I've been in the Baptist church. I've been in the Presbyterian church, and now I've been in the Lutheran church. 5 different denominations, or 4 plus the cult, however you want to say it. But only here in this last couple years, when the Hound of Heaven finally took my behind and took a bite out of it, can I say, I'm a Christian. I'm a Christian.
What was the fear in saying it before? Like, why were you hesitant?
What's the Bible verse? God says, no one will get to me but through my Son. John...
No one comes to the Father except through the Son.
Yeah. That was my... That verse haunted me. To the point was... I'm one of those stupid guys that has these unrealistic nightmares, okay? And they're not people under the bed going to bite me.
Sure.
They're people who are abandoning me. There are people who are betraying me. They're the things I don't like. And I used to have this dream that I'm running to the light, and I feel this peace, and I feel this serenity, and I feel this lightness. I feel awesome. And Jesus darts in front of me, waves his finger, and says, "You don't know me." And I'd wake up. And then one morning, I heard R.C. Sproul preach John 6:44, I think. And when he said, God will woo you into a relationship with Jesus Christ. And that was the moment that I knew I'm a Christian. Because it's through God I know Jesus.
He's coming after you. You don't have to go.
Yeah. God will woo you into a relationship with Christ. I got goosebumps. That was the moment I knew. I mean, that's the moment.
So for you, it was kind of a heart thing. It was a kind of a crisis transition in your life, but it was also you were cut to the heart.
Well, I was spending a lot of time praying for several weeks. God, give me a relationship with Jesus. I don't like this. I'm so uncomfortable with it. I've got to figure this out. It was almost like a parent prays for their sick child, just constantly praying. And I even got up that morning praying that prayer. And I'm driving to men's group. It's about 6:15 in the morning. And R.C. Sproul says, God will woo you into a relationship with Christ. And then a couple lines later, it was something about the hound of heaven will finally mow you down or catch you or whatever.
It's a totally different view of God, isn't it?
That 5 minutes changed my life.
Yeah. God's not an angry God that wants to punish you.
Yeah.
He's a God that wants a relationship with you, and he's done everything to make that possible.
Yeah. It was a great morning. So, all right. When we come back, Pastor John Anderson is here. Are we done unpacking your story, Dan? Are you comfortable that we've done it justice? All right. When we come back, John and I will talk about, with Bob and Father Ted too, why are you a Christian? What makes you a Christian? We'll hear his story next live on KTIA, Iowa.
Leach, owner and general manager of Service Legends. I brought along a couple of the home comfort heroes.
Hi, I'm Tammy Wells.
I am Nick Wondershide.
I'm administrative manager.
I am the senior technician
from Service Legends.
It seems like every good thing, when you feel it to the bone that it's good, there's a lot of hard work put behind it. I don't think that you can fake it and have it turn out good.
You know, if we seem like, okay, that's just weird, it's just a furnace, why would you believe so deeply in a furnace? It's not just that, you know, we want to show the world that you can have good service.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be, it's your home.
You know, it's built into our daily trainings, it's built into our culture, that we're going to do whatever it takes to have each client say they love us, period.
That's why we spend all the hours in the training that we do. And if we guarantee it's going to be a good experience for you, or else it's free, what type of work do you think we're going to do?
There is a guarantee.
Temperature selection guarantee, fixed rider it's free guarantee, comfort guarantee, best value guarantee. All of these guarantees hold us accountable to ensuring that we exceed your expectations. And if for whatever reason we'd fail and we can't make it right, we guarantee all of those guarantees with a 100% money back guarantee.
I mean, if you don't think that your technician can fix it right, are you going to say that to a client? No.
You don't have to worry about having a technician come to your house.
We drug test, background check all of our team members. We put safe people in your home. Each and every one of our service techs, 400 hours a year in training.
You tell it the minute they walk in the door. They know what they're doing, they've done their homework, and they actually truly care about what you want.
Because at the end of the day, you're the person that makes sure I have a job.
They're going to be listening. They're going to want to know what your challenges are. Then they're going to come and give you options, and you get to choose.
If I'm there to help and I make it easy and painless, I did my job right that day.
Well, when it comes to your comfort, safety, and your family, you know, you don't necessarily go buy the most expensive, but you get the most bang for your buck.
Oh, it's worth it, because there's a lot of people that will find a way to get it to work right now and then leave and then come back, charge you again, and the cycle just repeats itself. So when I'm out there looking at the furnace, I want to find why it failed today. How can we change the part today with something that you're not going to have to worry about? Is it worth changing the part today? I mean, you can put a lot of money into a furnace. I can fix parts all day. There's good job security in that for me. But is it the right thing for you?
I get a lot of the phone calls of after the technicians are there. They're just in awe. They're like, wow, you guys are great. I mean, I don't even know what to say. You guys are great. Everything you did was perfect. It was great.
Keep going though. I like this.
Just give us a try. I'm going to take all the risk.
I've got the time to make this right. I've got the support to make it right.
Just check us out.
And if you don't see the value in what we do,
I mean, fixed rider, it's free or 100% money back.
Enough said.
If you sit in the back pew or the front pew, it's your voice we want to hear. The phone lines are open, so call 855-244-0077. Now, here's J. Michael McCoy.
3:38, 22 before the top. Salem Radio Network news at the top, and then day 3 of True Blue, starring Michael Mudloff and Chris Roloff. They'll do a little bit of a sermon. The sermon series right now is timely, as it is on, how did he say it yesterday? I want to say politics in the church.
Who said this?
Mudloff talked about his current series is something about
how voting.
How voting and
how to vote in this season. So he's excited about it, I know.
Yeah,
Sure.
so that's the brand new show that replaced it didn't replace the Steve Day show. The Steve Day show is still live 8 to 11 every weekday night. But we were replaying an hour of the Steve Day show, and now it'll just be True Blue, Pastor Mudloff with Chris Roloff from 4 to 4:30. So that's coming up next.
And we forgot to introduce our newly branded show. Remember, we're the
View
before the pew or before the blue.
Yeah, we're the View before True Blue.
Yeah.
Yeah, the View before True Blue. That's right. And I thought it was really cool just now that Father Tattoo gave me the biggest left-handed compliment I've had in a long time. That all of the guests on his show, A Rebel's Cause, Thursday nights at 8, right here on this very network, he has national guests.
I said I don't have the local connections that you've established.
That's like saying I don't have the money to buy plus size suits, Max, so I stay thin.
Yeah. So I'm chopped liver or what?
Yeah. I'm very happy to have Pastor Anderson.
I wasn't saying he's welcome on my show at any time.
I think you've destroyed any opportunity that he'd visit your show.
Probably. I mean, your mom told me so. So.
My mother?
Yeah, the one that was here, remember?
Who says you're arrogant?
Yeah, that one. Yeah. See?
Wow.
You'll have that.
All right.
I'm not a good enough Christian. Surprise.
So, why are you a Christian, John?
That is a great question.
Because you're a pastor, right? Yeah, and you have to be a Christian if you're going to. Yeah, right.
You know what? That's where a lot of people start, and it's actually the opposite. It's the other way around. And my story does start with my parents. I mean, that's the first thing that I know. And looking back on that time now, my parents modeled a unconditional kind of love for me.
Your dad was a pastor, right?
Yeah. I'm third generation actually, pastor, and my parents loved me with the kind of love that doesn't make sense. And so looking back on it now, I realize how ornery I was, how much of a disobedient I was, and how much my parents loved me. And now, looking back on that, I see that as direct evidence of a God that loves us the same. And so for me, it was they instilled the ideas of faith in me, but I had to make that my own. And so in college, I was really wrestling with this, like, is this real? I've gone to church my whole life. I've gone to confirmation. I've done every possible thing you can do. And I came to this moment. For me, it was like this moment of crisis of like, is it real or am I just a fraud? Mm-hmm. And I'm leading campus ministries in college. Not a fraud, but just, is there anything inside of me, or is it just a transplant from my parents?
Yeah.
Or is it real? And so college was a real time of refining for me, where I just spent a lot of nights doubting, questioning some of the same things in your story. And for me, it was more of a crockpot experience over the course of several years, being a young adult. I just came to the realization that, this is real, and there is no way that I can be the kind of person that I want to be unless there is grace. There's got to be something bigger than me. Mm-hmm. And it was a combination of what was going on inside of me, along with a combination of what I see in the world. Everything from the grandness of God to his creation and how he creates everything, to the smallest of things, of how he creates life and kids and how he weaves that all together. It is way too intricate and way too beautiful and way too grand to be a mistake, to be a coincidence. And so ministry birthed out of that. Like, I still say to this day, I don't understand the whole professional ministry thing. For me, it was always just, there is nothing else that I would rather give my life to than somebody that gave their life for me. So I really enjoy getting paid. That's really helpful. but I don't really think about that, to be honest, on a daily basis. It's just too real.
Now, only until, and this is just the way I hear things, only until you said, how cool is it to work with somebody who died for me?
Yeah.
Only until then did I hear Jesus. Before that, I heard God. When did you did you spin the two together, or when did the two form together?
I think it went when it became personal, because I started seeing my image of God has always been sort of this big guy with a gray beard up in heaven, and it was that growing up. But then when I think my faith became more real and personal, I started thinking about Jesus not only as God, but as a man, as a person, about somebody, that a being that I could have a relationship with. And so when I saw examples of godly men in my life, I said, I want to be like that. And if Jesus is the ultimate example of what a real man is like, that was the hook for me in college. It was like, it's time to grow up, John. I felt God say that multiple times.
You know, here's another example of why I say I'm not a good enough Christian. You said, I want to be like Jesus. I want to be like Jesus too, but I know that I fall so short. And that is not some humble comment, guys.
No, I would agree
That's
with that.
a mirror. But I know, I don't think you really know. Maybe you do. But I don't think you really know, or you really know. And Bob, I think you probably think you're so close that you're like the difference between a hard-boiled egg and a pickled egg. I know that who God made me to be. I'm that rebel Paul on the 12 disciples. That's who I am.
Yep.
I'm Saul, you know.
And I think that's probably the end of my story, is then when you ask about how do I know that it's true? How do I know that it's real? When I look at Scripture, I see my story. I am the prodigal son, and I'm also the older son. I am Judas. I am Peter. I denied. I betrayed. I ran away. I am that person. And so that's when I know this isn't just some book. Like, the Word of God is living and active, sharper than any double-edged sword. Like, it cuts to bone and marrow. Like, it cuts deep into my soul to a place where nothing else ever has, and it speaks to you that way.
That's just crazy. That is so cool.
Yeah.
Here's what I was thinking about. I was thinking about, you know, we're in the story.
Yeah.
And we're learning about Joseph. All right. And thrown in the cistern, in the robe, dipped in lamb's blood, and now he thinks he's gone. And the reason his brothers did that is because he held himself up as really high and mighty, and I had dreams, and you will bow to me. And then he goes through the all the difficulties that world brings you, but still God gives him success.
Yeah.
And in the end, he brings him home.
Yeah.
That's my story. You know, every restaurant, every nightclub, everything I ever did, you walk in, there's a sign. Wise men still seek him. Well, that's kind of Joseph standing up going, you know, I'm pretty good here. I'm with Jesus.
Yeah.
But I never was. I was with God.
Yeah. We see our story in Scripture played out all the time. And then when we look at the overall story of God, we say that is what gives life meaning.
And isn't that a good way to share the gospel with somebody who doesn't know it?
That's why I said at the beginning, I have to start with their story.
Yeah, your
and figure
story.
out where their story connects with God. Maybe they identify with Joseph or Abraham or Noah or whoever it is.
Yeah.
And that's where you make the connection.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's one way of doing it.
I think that's a good way to start, though. And don't what is the book that people always tell people to start with? Is it Matthew? I've always heard that they'll tell you if you're going to start with any book.
Usually John.
John. John's a pretty easy read.
And then Acts, usually? No?
I wouldn't. I'd probably stay in the Gospels for a while until that becomes solid, and then.
So John, and then what? Corinthians?
Luke kind of carries a full story.
Yeah, Matthew or Luke.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
John Anderson. Pastor John Anderson is our guest today. He is the pastor at Lutheran Church of Hope, Des Moines. Did I get that right?
Yeah, you got it.
I got it right? It's
Hope
not
Des Moines.
campus anymore.
Just Hope Des Moines.
Just Hope Des Moines.
Yep.
And they meet at Roosevelt High School every Sunday. We'll learn more about that as we continue on today with the question we've kind of been pondering this week. How do you share the gospel with somebody who doesn't know it, and why are you a Christian? Coming back live on 99.3 KTIA, Iowa.
From From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
It's like they want to get hit.
Need a body shop?
Minor Wreck Express saves you time and money.
Whether you're 10, 25, 50, 80 years old and beyond, everyone needs to live within their means. I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of America. For almost a quarter of a century, we've helped people of all ages learn to manage their personal finances to benefit them far into the future. When problems arise, we've got the experience you need to make those debt problems go away. Got financial problems? Call Consumer Credit of America.
Well, hi, I'm Rob Spearman. I'm a broker owner of RE/MAX Real Estate Concepts in Des Moines, Iowa. Give us a call if you're looking at buying or selling a home, or if you're having trouble on your mortgage payments or looking to purchase foreclosures. We have the agents to help you, experienced, outstanding agents. Our office number is 515-276-2872. Or if you'd like to look at homes, go to our website, homeconnectusa.com.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Come on now, let's reason together. The phone lines are open, and it's your voice we want to hear. So call 855-244-0077. Now, here's J. Michael McCoy.
Hi, we're back. 10 before the top, Salem Radio Network News. And then, of course, this is The View before True Blue. And then at 4:03, it's The Amazing, Apocalyptic, Son of the Whole Mighty God, and his friend, Pastor Michael Mudloff, with their show True Blue.
You don't do the build-ups, I do.
I didn't do that very well. Well, I felt kind of near the end I was getting a little blasphemous, so I needed to back down.
I would have gone with the guy that makes being bald not only bold but beautiful. A man whose knowledge inspires, whose insight amazes. The one, the only, Michael Mudloff.
Wow.
See,
he's good.
That way. And he wasn't reading that, folks. He was just pulling that from his
God has gifted you
tattooed arms.
Yeah. I can over-announce people. It's amazing.
John Annison is our guest. He's the pastor at Lutheran Church of Hope Des Moines. Meets in Roosevelt on Sunday morning.
Hubble Elementary. Right.
Why do I? Because
it's right next door.
Because it's next door.
Same
Hubble
parking.
Elementary.
Same parking lot.
What time?
9:15 and 11.
You have two services. And you preach them both.
Yep.
Wow. You don't let Householder come in and talk ever?
Yeah. I don't know.
He's got a bag, doesn't he?
I'm thinking about it.
Make him beg.
He's okay.
So how do you get there now? Because there's a bunch of construction now, right?
There was through the summer.
Is that cleared up?
It's all cleared up.
Okay, because I noticed that you had like sign. It's like I don't even know if I could find my way there if I wanted to.
It was like Indiana Jones trying to get there for a while. I mean, you're like up and down and through the river, and
And you know who else? And I know you guys that listen to this show think all I do is talk about hope, and that's mostly true because I'm there like 6 days a week, and I love this folks, and I love the people there. You know who else is just? He was already a good preacher when he got here, but who's really shining is Jeremy.
Mm-hmm.
He's got that 5 o'clock service every day, and then he does Alpha, and he's just rocking this. I don't know if he's in a groove or what.
It's help. It's really cool when people find their niche.
Yeah,
you know,
he's just really he's doing great.
Yep.
I gotta come to you, your church someday.
You should,
because I'd love to, because I love it when you're preaching at the big building.
Yeah,
the main campus.
Yeah,
but I'm afraid if I come there, you'll make me like set up chairs or something.
Probably.
See, and that's what. Hey, listen. That's what happened to me when I went to Ankeny. I went out to Ankeny and I ended up setting up chairs.
Yeah, you know what the thing
that was humbling.
That
Scotty, thanks.
Satellites force you to do.
Max above setting up chairs. Apparently.
No, and I'm not above it. I just that's.
You're right. You're not.
Boy, I pedaled right into that, didn't I, Montserrat?
No, one thing I love about our community is that, and this is not an exaggeration, I think 95% of our people are actively involved in something. like that you have to be. You can't just sit on your rear.
Well,
you know,
what's our ratio to staff to congregation? It's one of the lowest of any church with this size.
It's pretty low, about 100 staff for 14,000 people.
Yeah, it's pretty low.
It's nuts.
Yeah, I love doing all kinds of stuff. I just don't like setting up chairs.
I hear you.
I'm not, I'll cook, I'll clean, I'll wash dishes.
We got other jobs for you.
I'll do whatever I just don't.
You can hang out with our shelter folks. We bus in. We got about 60 folks from the shelters there every week, and do some Bible study. That would be some good content for your show. They're smart. They would blow you away.
Bring one on next time.
That'd be fun.
I'd love to.
You should do that.
We'll do that.
Yeah.
All right. Why are you a Christian? Bob, what's your answer? Of course, now after I gave mine yesterday, you probably changed it to mine.
Yeah, Bob plagiarized you.
Why am I a Christian? I suppose that because I was always not good enough, and somebody deemed me good enough, and he's the one I follow.
Wow, another left-handed compliment, a slap in the face for me. So you always felt not good enough, but Jesus fulfilled you.
Oh, absolutely.
He ended you.
And he continues.
He made you good enough.
I haven't made it, but eventually, someday.
Well, but you now wait a minute. I'm going to take a bump. I'm going to disagree with you on that, because you kind of said that if I can't say I'm not a good enough Christian, because I am, then you have to say you are, because you're a better Christian than I am.
Well, you see, Paul, even he said he didn't make it up to that point in the scripture. He said, not that I've made it. He even said that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I'm saying I'm just copying Paul. He's a good one to copy.
I've never asked you this. What disciple do you think you're like, the most like?
Which one am I most like? I guess I never thought about that. Judas is out.
I don't know. Today he's being an awful lot like Judas.
Well, there, even though there were 12, there are only some that were well known. If I were to say, "Oh, I'm like Bartholomew,"
we don't know a lot about Bartholomew.
We don't know much.
Yeah.
So it's pretty narrow as to who you're going to choose, because the inner circle, James and John, and
Peter was pretty erratic. He had a big mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Said things he shouldn't have.
Absolutely. Denied Christ 3 times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't it interesting? And we won't go down this road too far, but in the Democratic National Convention, they had posted that they had removed God from their, what's it called? The platform.
Platform, yeah.
And that disturbed some people. So the guy got up. Did you see this? You know what I'm talking about?
I watched highlights of it.
Okay, so the
CNN,
guy gets up, and they're going to take a verbal vote.
Yeah.
And it's majority wins. And the first time he asked, do we put God back in, the no's were louder than the yays.
Yeah.
So he asks again.
He did it like 3 times, didn't he? Oh,
and then he did it 3 times.
I spoiled your joke.
Well, but that's the point.
Yeah.
I mean, in 2012, the Democratic National Convention denied God 3 times.
So
back to back.
So Mac, I know what disciple I'd be like.
Oh man, I'm afraid to ask. I don't think any of them had tattoos, did they?
No, I know which one I would.
Probably.
I would have something in common with.
Okay, who's that?
I would take Thomas.
Because you are a doubter?
Because I would be a doubter. I would be the one that would want to stick my hand in the holes and feel the gash in his side.
I need the proof.
And the greatest thing about that is Thomas was safe.
He was what?
He was safe. He was.
What do you mean
was
safe?
We know through Scripture that Thomas was saved.
Oh,
Jesus,
saved?
No. I said he was safe, but we know he was safe because Jesus said, "I have not lost even one." And so that would be the disciple I would be. I'd be the one that put my finger through. And what a silly man that was, because Christ had already saved him.
Now, John was the only one that lived to be an old man, correct?
Yeah.
As far as I know.
All the others were martyred. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. My answer, why am I a Christian? I would have given you 100 different answers before a couple years ago. Now, it's because he called me. That's it. He called me.
He pursued you.
Yeah. Because it wasn't until John 6:44, and I heard that God will woo you into a relationship with Christ, did that come together for me. And so I got pursued. Then I learned the things about the hound of heaven, and, I got enough taken out of my backside in my life that I know it's been there biting on me.
It's awesome.
Thanks for being here. Next time you're here, you're going to bring somebody.
I'll bring somebody.
Okay, that's good. Father Tattoo, thanks for being here. Tomorrow, a very special show. We're going to go through the debates. Tom Coates will be here. Craig Robinson will be here. It'll be more of a politically slanted show.
I get all 3 political shows tomorrow. Yay!
What do you mean all 3?
I get Fallon's, Bradshaw's, and yours.
Yeah, well,
fun.
Wow. Yeah, and everybody's going to declare their winner. Bob, thanks for being here. Prayers for Stu Epperson Jr., Chris Roloff, and the whole crew at Truth Network for working so hard to make sure you get to hear this program and all the others every day live on the Truth Network. And just one of those great stations is right here in our hometown. Boone, Ames, and Des Moines, KTIA, Iowa.